Vampyr. Is it worth a bite? Let's read the words of the developer. London, 1918. You're a newly turned vampire, Dr. Jonathan Reed. As a doctor, you must find a cure to save the city's flu-ravaged citizens. As a vampyr, you are cursed to feed off those you vowed to heal.
Actually, guys, I'm going to call this Vampire because Vampyr sounds French. Anyway, so let's start with the options, guys. You can change all the graphic settings. There isn't a FOV slider, and there should be. There should be a FOV slider in every game, but there just isn't that. Freaking, there's a bell already. The graphic options, there's quite a few, and you can turn them all up to maximum. No problem on a 1070, and it still looks shit. The graphics just don't look very good at all, considering this is a £45 game. I'm sorry, but once you get into the realms of £40, I want to see some really nice graphics, and they're just, it's 10-year-old. The graphics are 10-year-old in this game. I've just literally finished Detroit Become Human on the PS4, and it absolutely blows this to Kingdom Come graphically. So it's not that they've lowered the graphics because of consoles, because they just haven't. You can rebind all your keys. I've played this all the way through on the with a mouse and keyboard. It does have full controller support as well. It's well playable with a mouse and keyboard. I didn't have a massive amount of trouble, but I did have a few issues with the combat, which I'll come to when I talk about the combat. But let's talk about what the game actually is. You play a vampire. I know it's called Vampyr, but I'm going to say a vampire because I'm Mac and I'm allowed to, you know. So you play the good old Doc. Now he is charged with saving the lives of the citizens, but he's also a vampire and wants to eat their faces. So there's a bit of a dilemma going on here, and you literally can eat the face of anybody in this game and you will take them out and they're dead. Once they're dead, they're dead. I know they should come back to life as a vampire, but yeah. In the game, they're dead. Now, if he's a quest giver that you killed, or she's a quest giver, you lose all them quests. So be careful who you kill. Also as well, the map is broken down into districts. It's London. You've got the West End, the dockyards, and all of that kind of stuff. And each area of the map has a populace. And the populace will start getting infected with disease. They call it the flu, but actually there's no spoilers in this, guys, this review. I will be very careful of the footage that I show, because there's a lot of ways I could easily spoil this for you, and I don't want to, because the story is reasonably good. It had me quite captivated. So this is a spoiler-free review. But as I was saying, these districts have a populace, and the populace catch a disease, and you have to cure them, and you can actually create a cure for every disease that's in this game. To actually create the cure, you have to go and search for the right things to analyze, and then the blood samples, and then that will give you the breakthrough for the cure, and then you can produce the cure and go and administer it to the person. Each person also has pretty much a full story to them, and people are associated with other people in the game, just like in real life. You might talk to one person who has two other people in their little circle of friends, and so if you talk from each of those little friends, you will uncover more clues about that other person, and also vice versa. And as you unlock clues, you get these little slots in there. It's kind of like your relationship with them. These little slots fill in. They're like clue slots, and each one gives that person more blood value, which equates essentially to XP if you kill them. So for example, you might start with somebody who you haven't unlocked any clues about, who only has shitty blood worth 500 XP, but after about an hour of plays, you talk to their friends and talk to them and do stuff for them, that might go up to 4,000 or 5,000 XP. And anytime you want to cash that XP in, you just go and eat their face by using what's called mesmerize. You've seen it in the vampire movies where they kind of, you know, mesmerize, look into my eyes, my eyes, my eyes. And then, you know, they're just like, oh, wow, yeah. And then you lead them around an alleyway and eat their face off. That's how it works in this game. However, you have to have a higher mesmerized level than their willpower, and their willpower is represented as a number, as is your mesmerize, and you level up mesmerize by leveling up your character. You level up your character by doing all the quests. There's the main quests, and then there's lots of side quests called investigations. You also get XP for combat, but hardly any. you hardly get any. You get more XP talking to somebody about the happenings that's going on than you will if you stove their face in with a bat, which is quite weird, really, because it makes you kind of not want to get into too much combat and want to go and talk to everybody. Women are going to love this game. The amount of talking that you do in this game is off the fucking scale, guy. Oh, shit, you can't say that now, can you? Because people don't have a sense of humour. Now, also, each area of the City of London has a different level. Obviously, you're going to get sent straight into the low-level area first, which is around your hospital where you're working at. You have your own office, you have your own bed there, which you use to level up. And how that works is, in the top right, you keep getting XP as you talk to people, do side quests, and then it'll say you can evolve. And what that means is you go and lie on your bed, you select your perks. It's like the perk tree in bed, your new powers, your new skills, and then when you confirm that, that sends you to sleep because it's daytime. You then wake up the next night, you've evolved, in other words, you've leveled up, and you have the new powers that you selected with your XP, but obviously your XP is all gone and you have to start over again. So that's basically how the XP works in this game. Also as well, when you wake up and start a new day, all the consequences of all your actions that day take effect. So who you've healed, which I'll come to in a second, what people you've killed, everything changes, and I mean everything. I'm not going to tell you what the objective of the game is and loads of stuff that happens in the story, and there is loads of stuff, and it did have me captivated, the story. Some of the citizen stories are boring and really boring, and you're just like, oh, shut up, mate, you know, and you just go through them and it's pretty shit. But a few of them have really good stories, and I didn't think I did any fetch. I did one fetch quest. Most of the side quests are good. They're good quests. Have you go and do something, and then maybe 2 or 3 parts to some of them as well, and I found them really, really enjoyable. Also around the map you will find merchants. Now the merchants will sell you stuff. Now there's loads and loads of loot in this game, absolutely loads of it, and pretty much every set of drawers or cabinet or bin will have loot in it, and they'll flash a little bit and you run over and you loot that bin, and you'll get lots and lots of junk that you can recycle into other parts or sell to get cash so that you can buy better parts off the merchants. You get a load of different weapons. There's main hands, there's off hands, there's two-handed weapons, there's guns, there's all kinds of stuff that you can actually wield in this game, and each weapon can be either sold off or you can level it up. And so I strongly suggest you find a weapon that you like and then just start leveling the shit out of it, because it's hard to get the parts to level them up past epics, which is what I've got with mine at the minute. So I've kind of stuck with the same two-hander all the way through it, but you also get other combat attributes as well, which we're going to talk about now in the combat. Now the combat is where this game kind of falls. It is simplistic. When I say simplistic, there's a lot to do in the combat. There's when you get later on into the game, sort of I'd say the last few hours of the game, the combat is a bit more intense than it is over the first 2/3 of the game, and that's simply because there are shit tons more enemies out there, and that's what makes the combat still fun, that you're fighting 3 or 4 enemies at a time. If I was only fighting 1 or 2, then I don't even think I'd have got as far as I'd gone. I'd have just give up, because it does get bloody boring. You see, I'm a vampire, but I'm fighting like a knight with a bloody mace. I want to be doing all vampire shit, but you spend most of your time smacking people in the face with a mace or whatever, or shooting them, and that's kind of not what I have in mind as a vampire. Now, I can claw people's faces off, I can suck their faces off, I can fire blood arrows at them. I can use my ultimate ability, which is on a longer cooldown, which sends them up in the air and lets them fall down on a blood spike up their arse. You can go invisible. You can leap across places. It's not like teleporting. You're just running really, really fast, dodging. But a lot of the time, you're smacking people in the face with a mace. And you've only got 2 attacks. Well, 1 attack, really. Well, it's 2, really. You've got attack and block, which is a bit of an attack. And the way it works is, if you time it so that when they're about to attack you, you block, you then usually, unless they've got high resistance, and I'll come to resistance in a minute, you can stagger them or stun them and then bite their neck, and that will give you a replenishment of blood. If you've got enough perks in, you'll get a lot of blood back. If you've got even more perks in other areas, you'll get health back with that as well. So Essentially, combat revolves around stunning them, biting them, using your blood powers, evading them using the space bar in my case, because I wasn't using a controller, which dashes you from side to side. It's like Witcher 3 where you had the roll, in this you have the dash, and you know, in Dark Souls you had the roll. It's that move there. But I think in this it is way better than the Dark Souls Witcher 3 roll. I just don't like the roll across the floor. I mean, it wouldn't work with a vampire anyway, but with this one, the way he moves in the blink of an eye, it just looks cooler. But, you know, it does the same thing. But, like I say, you will come across a lot in the later stages of the game. You'll be outnumbered 4 to 1, they'll be higher level than you, and that's when the difficulty of this game kicks in. You also set your own difficulty with how you treat the citizens. For example, there's local militia that will go around attacking the monsters. There'll be more monsters if you start eating more people's faces and people start dying. If you don't cure people and they start dying, more monsters move in, more people move out, and the whole place starts becoming darker and darker, and it looks really good. The way they've done it, the actual consequences of everything in this game is great, and there is a consequence for pretty much everything that you do in this game, which I really like. So if you're like me and you just go around eating people's faces and being a bastard, then the game difficulty ramps right up. And I've got werewolves, vampires, vampire hunters all over the place kicking the shit out of each other. And it's often, I walk around a corner and see 6 people in a mass brawl. And it's great just getting stuck in there with me mace and that and just leaping around firing me blood. I'm enjoying the game more in the latter stages than I did in the early and mid stages of the game. It does get more enjoyable as you play the game more if you just become a bastard, really. I mean, I'm not a nice vampire at all. I'll heal people and be all nice to them just because I'm fattening them up like a pig and I'm going to eat their face. You get a big XP boost, it's great. But it has to be said, guys, on a PC with a mouse and keyboard, and I don't know what it's like on a controller for the lock-on, but on a PC, it's bloody drastic, the actual locking on. And this is simply because you can't target accurately in front of you. Anybody who's played World of Warcraft with that lock-on, it's so simple, so easy. And that was a game that came out in 2004. You point at someone, press target, and you target them. I don't understand why game developers are so fucking stupid that they can't add something as simple as the lock-on from World of Warcraft. It's just, what the fuck? What the fuck is so hard about just aiming at somebody lock on? And when you've got 4 or 5 people coming at you, you need to be able to target the right one at the right time, because each person that's attacking you will have resistances. Now, there's only 4 types of damage in this game. There is gunshot, so that'll be the crosshair one. There is melee, there is blood, and there is stuff, which is another vampire power. And you need to know the enemy that's coming at you, what you should use against him. It's pointless using your mace when somebody's got a massive resistance against maces. It's pointless using your blood powers if someone's got a massive resistance against blood. So you need to quickly be able to target each one and have a look and see which one's, and you just can't. You just can't. The third person camera is fucking hideous as well. It's clunky as at times. It gets really clunky when you're trying to maneuver around in a tight area, and there's lots of tight areas in old London town in the 1918. There's like alleyways, corners and stuff, and loads of times I've been trapped and all I've seen is a shoulder blade filling me fucking monitor, and then you're trying to move out and it's just frustrating. So frustrating. This game would have been light years better in first person mode, light years better, and with decent aiming on the actual controls as well. But it is what it is, guys, and I kind of feel like giving this a middle thumb. In fact, I would thumb this down if it wasn't on Green Man Gaming for £33. Mind that is when you put the code in, the June 25 code. It's worth that. I don't think it's worth £44, and it's just the graphics aren't good enough. I know graphics don't make a game, but the combat isn't good enough, and combat does make a game when it's about combat. And for me, it just for £45, you want that kind of, you're into AAA country at £45, and you want that polish, that shine that just isn't here with this game. But saying that, I'm having a blast playing it. It is really good fun, and it is way better at the end kind of stages, you know, level 29, 30, when you're going from the early, middle, it does get very repetitive. The early game's good, middle game's very repetitive, but stay with it because as it gets better, the bosses get harder and the game gets a lot more fun. So I'm going to thumb it up because, hey, I'm having fun. It's as simple as that.